You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
And thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, as always. Hello. Your eyes don't deceive you. It has been a month since you last saw me or heard this beautiful voice. Welcome to another episode of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. This is episode 456. I believe so. I'll have AJ or Eric confirm that. This episode, we are discussing WNBA. We're now in the second half of the season. Wow. Where do I begin? The last time we left off was giving grades for the first latter part of the season, and that was about a month ago, as I stated. Since then, outside of YouTube work, other work commitment stuff and different things like that, you've probably seen some stuff on MarylandSportsBlog.com. I just put an article out maybe about a week or so ago regarding this recent trend of the Mystics needing to trade Leah Edwards. Team MBS Media, there'll be some more content out there as well. But we're just going to continue to get back into the swing of things as much as we can. NFL season is almost approaching us. Then college football, college basketball, and then WNBA playoffs will be here before you know it. So this episode, we're just really talking about the second half. I have some grades. I was supposed to do that. I was supposed to do that right during the All-Star break, but that didn't happen. We're going to make up for that now. So I apologize for not having this out sooner. But thank you for the new subscribers. We're now at 442. The goal is to get to 1K before the year is over. So thank you for the new subs. Continue to like, comment, and subscribe for future content on the podcast. And also, too, like I said, we are another 50 episodes uploaded on Spotify. So we should be caught up almost before the end of August, from my understanding. But we're moving right along with that. But all the descriptions, all the links to Team MBS Media, Maryland Sports Blog, Spotify is all in the description down below. And let's get into it. I got to bring on, as you guys already know, he's like a second co-host of the podcast, who has been eager to get on here and talk some WNBA. So I can't do this episode alone without the one and only Mr. Brendon Potts. You guys have to forgive me because StreamYard looks a little different from the last time I used it. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Brendon Potts.
Woo!
Brendon, how is he doing?
It's going good. I'm doing good. Had a very busy last month, and yeah, man, what's happened is we're about to go over, so I'm ready to get into it.
Yes, absolutely. One thing I did want to take into consideration when doing these grades is I was not quick to throw some teams under the bus as we have seen. that I have seen on my side of social media. I think people have to understand, especially with injuries, inconsistencies. Some of that is on how the team is built, and then also to, in fairness, like example, right? There's one team in particular where, okay, majority of the players are free agents after this year, and we're even to the point giving, like we're actually throwing a white flag on the rookie, which I think is really really weird in my opinion. But I get it, and also to the injury bug as well has been something this year. Um, so those are the things that I want to take into consideration. Oh, and before I also get into that, Brendon wanted to rave about the Portland Fire, so I'm going to give him a whole entire segment on that. But these are the first. This is the grades. We're going to start Atlanta. I'm going to give them a B, simply because I just think that they started out hot, and then they didn't have Jordan Canada there for a hot second. To me, Alicia Gray should be in the MVP conversation. I think she should be also in the conversation for all WNBA first team. I think she has gotten better. Her career highs, things, points, rebounds, and assists actually. And I have no issue with that. I think Brianna Jones has definitely adjusted well to the system under Coach Carl. BG as well, but also to again like Tahina Powpow at one point has been starting as Hillman. Then also too they've held the fort down without Ryan Howard. Oh, and which really quick, the fact I don't know who ever said that where Megan Hall had to respond to, are the Dream are better off without Ryan Howard. I hope you step your toe on a Lego piece, because that is the most asinine thing I've ever heard. That's to say that they're better off without Ryan Howard. It's that's come on. But yeah, any thoughts on Atlanta?
No, that when you just said that, I remember back. This is gonna haunt my dreams because I'm a Mavs fan. But I remember back in 2020, the year we made the Western Conference Finals run but lost to Golden State. The first round, Luka was out for the first two games, and I feel like it was some national person. I can't remember what network it was on. It was probably it wasn't Stephen A. I can't remember who it was. Besides the point, but they said the Mavs are better without Luka Doncic, and that's just stupid. So that's what that reminded me of when you brought that up. For me, Carl Smesco is among the Coach of the Year candidates. I'd also put Nate Tibbetts up there as well.
For sure.
But yeah, that's all I got in Atlanta. I'm curious. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go to their next game against Seattle, but if I were to go, the question I'd ask Carl Smesco is what, thinking about what his expectations were at the beginning of the season, like for him as a coach, coaching his first year in W, like how does he feel like he's measured up to those expectations right now? And I'm curious to hear his answer for that. So that's all I've got for the dream right now.
Sure. What are your thoughts on Chicago?
Chicago, so right now I feel like they've been bitten by the injury bug hard. But I feel like they're growing. I feel like they're still a growing team, and they're still I mean, it's hard to be this late in the season and say that they're still working out the kinks, but that's just the fact of the matter. And I feel like, especially against Seattle, I feel like those two showed the discrepancy of where they are in the chip pecking order. And I mean, they beat the Storm beat the Sky by pretty much 40. They were up by like 40 something points at one point in that game. So it really shows the difference of where each team is in the pecking order of winning a championship, but they're a young team. They've got a lot of good pieces. And yeah, I don't really want to get too much into this guy just because they're rebuilding.
For sure.
And yeah, that's just how it is.
Yeah. I kind of have the same thoughts. It's more of, it's not like, first and foremost, the way this team is built, it's a mess, and a lot of that starts with front office. But I'm a little confused. I'm not a little, but I just have a simple question for these quote unquote these Sky fans. So because every loss, somebody gets scapegoated. Like, they want Camilla to be traded, they want Tyler to be fired. Like, what do you guys want? Like, do you guys not like? Is there not an understanding, first and foremost, the inability, number one, to get marquee players to come to Chicago? One, because of no training facility as of they started now. But again, like as Brendon mentioned, this is a young team. Teams are going to go through growing pains. Angel, to me, she leads them in scoring, rebounding, and actually, ironically, if I remember correctly, coming out of All-Star break was assists. So, and Camilla was not there because she was obviously playing for Brazil in the Mary Cup tournament. So, I just think that there's a lot of unknowns, and also too, Ariel Atkins has not been there. We forget about Courtney. We all know Courtney Vandersley's been out for a while now, but Ariel Atkins has not been there. They just today, if I remember correctly, they released Mariah Jefferson. Remember, in that trade for Rena Mabry, and since Mariah's been there, she hasn't been healthy. So yeah. I just think there's just a lot of it's a lot of things that I think some of these fans just don't seem to want to process. And I think I can see it starting to stress out a lot of people, especially like on Twitter, because it's just like every week it's something. And like now the latest thing is they want Camilla traded. And honestly and truthfully, the way how Camilla plays, how they want her to play, that's never been her playing style. She's not truly, to me, a back to the – well, she's a post player, but I think she's more of a face to the basket, in my opinion, as a player. But again, young team, got to be patient. This is going to happen. Seattle went through it. Washington went through it. All teams go through it. So, Tina Charles. That's all I'm gonna say.
In the words of Tina Charles, they won a game.
No,
you know.
In all seriousness, first and foremost, I saw this a while ago, and I wondered, and I'm glad Action Checks have an opportunity to talk. We're now here to talk about it. Brenda, do you remember Kelsey Bone?
No.
Okay,
that's a little before my time, I think.
Okay, but she was a former WNBA ball player, and she had the privilege of playing for Recede overseas, and I really, really just have one fair question for whether that's Morgan Tuck, whether that's Darius Taylor, whether that's Jen Rosati. Who gave the okay for this? Because I completely understand this is a whole new team compared to last year. Ramina Mabry hasn't played since the 20th of last month. Outside of Tina Charles, maybe Sanai Rivers and Anissa Morrow, they're coming along just fine. But I mean, there's really nothing else I can really point to that says, hey, they're doing just fine. I mean, their record as of right now, I'm looking, is 4-21. Like, and you guys beat them tonight. So
And we're also one of their 4 wins.
unfortunately, so I it's like this is unfortunately like the reality of you being a team, and I also too I think the perception on Connecticut, I think for the last few years, I think kind of has finally come to fruition. I get it, it's not box office, it's not sexy like Vegas or New York. I'll even put, but damn, like I would have expected better than this because this is nah.
Yeah. I have a couple of things on Connecticut. I've seen them play in person in the regular season twice now. Counting preseason 3 times. Um, Marina Mabry is fun to watch on the bench when she's not playing.
Coach
She's
Mabry.
yeah, no, like seriously, like she's seriously just another coach for them, and I actually love that for the young group that they have. Um, but I encourage everybody. The reason I earlier said, in the words of Tina Charles, they won a game. She said that on the Sue Bird podcast, which I strongly encourage everybody listen to that episode. It's a longer episode than the one she's done, but it's a really good one. Um, but it's a different situation, and the I think Connecticut. I think the team knows that they weren't going to be good. At this point in the season, they know they're not going to be good. Like they know they, for lack of a better word, they suck. And and I love what Tina said to Sue in their conversation about where they Sue asked her, "What do you see this season for the Connecticut Sun as a success?" And she said, basically, we're not going to be good, but we want to be someone else's. Like it's crunch time in the playoffs. There's a few games left. Um, Someone's gonna need to beat us to get in. We want to be that team that's the spoiler for some teams, and I think because the way that they played against Seattle at least twice that I've seen, maybe 3 times. One of them was the win. Is they play tough. Like they're actually a really tough team to play against for the first for I'd say 2 or 3 quarters out of the 4. Uh,
Mhm.
but it's game game is 4 quarters. Um, I don't think you stress enough how well Sinai Rivers is playing this year because she, never mind the court stuff that she's been dealing with since the start of the season. She's played well defensively. She's been one of the best defensive players in the league, and that's not even a stress at all because of her impact. And then, um, if her shot falls, she's having a great game. Like she knows how to find shots. They're just not going in. But I think she had one of the worst shooting performances I've ever seen or for her that I've seen when they played Seattle in Seattle, and she matched her career high in points.
Sure.
So, which it's not much. It's 12. So, um, it's not that impressive, but still, like with how bad she shot that day, um, it she still managed to score double-digit points. Um, I'm glad Marina Mabry's back. Or she's close to getting back if she's not
Right.
back already. Um, but that's a piece that they need. Tina Charles has been incredible this season. I think if they had a better record, she would have been an all-star. Um, but yeah, Sinai Rivers has been playing great, and I know it's been a month since we talked. I don't know if I mentioned my story that I did on her on my story that I did on her the last time I was on here. But
Right.
it was a really 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 good story. I really enjoyed getting to interview her, but I enjoyed more that she trusted me to do this story. Um, I She was the first person that I've interviewed that I legit went up and asked her, "Can I talk to you about this?" and about this personal thing. And she no hesitation. Yep. I said, "Wow," and and I wrote about it. And I mean, shit. Jen Rosati retweeted it. Morgan Tuck read it. Like it's now my most viewed article on the site.
Yes,
So
that's correct.
um, so it's just incredible to see the response of the story that I told about Sanaya, and shit, nobody would touch it. Nobody would touch it, and I'm
It was a
glad that
good piece, Brendan. Just for
yeah.
the record.
Thank you. I'm so glad that I got to tell this story, and I asked off the right. I don't want to take up too much time for this team because I know we gotta get through the other teams. But I asked Sanaya at off the record it like um or I told her like I think a part of the reason why you're letting me tell this story is because I know you, and I hope that helps. And she said it actually helps a lot. So um, the fact that she put her trust in me to tell this story, um, it made me say like this was the most care that I took in writing the story. Like I knew this had to be told well, and and I mean by the response it was, but like I feel like it was when I released it, and I mean it's just made the if you read the story, you know where I'm going with this, but uh, it's made the seeing of the uh, relationship friendship of Sanaya Rivers and Marina Mabry like that much better. so I'm glad that was a lot of people's favorite part or favorite quote of the story was how Sanaya Rivers spoke about Marina Mabry and how she's helped her through a tough time. So overall, I think it was a great story. If you haven't checked it out, A, why not? It's been out for like a month, and B, you should. You should. It's a really good one. So that's all I got on Connecticut. We can move on if you want.
For sure. I'll make sure to leave that article in the description below for viewers. But also too, like Sinai Rivers, and I think also too, in my opinion, Anissa should be also in the all rookie conversation as well, because both of them, especially now at this point in the season, um, hey, like this is kind of like going to be their team. Especially, I don't know how it's going to look next year, but yeah. But they're doing, both of them are doing, to me, I think they're doing just fine. Let's painfully also go to Dallas. Um, Dallas, they won tonight. Um, actually, I was shocked. The way I was like, "Am I seeing this right?" Like something wrong with my glasses. Um, Tiara McCowan did not play. If I saw that correctly, I thought that was just disgusting. She should at least got some minutes. I mean, okay, Dallas has had some good wins this year, especially over Phoenix and Atlanta, uh,
Seattle.
Seattle too. Um, Page, I think is Page, Isaiah James, JJ Queerly, like they've all adjusted well. Um, I I'm gonna say Dallas, to me, when they got Lee Rue from Seattle, they're kind of in the same boat with Washington, and I think they each big, like um, Louisa, Lee, and Tiara, they all do something different, in my opinion, in terms of style of play. Um, I mean, but the veterans, I mean, have either been most. I mean, Enrique's has not had an Enrique season like. And tonight was actually, I think, where she, was getting right, was back to the basics. She looked good tonight. Dejanay's not been there because of a rib injury.
She's actually coming off the bench.
Well, I'm saying I'm just using her in terms of.
I get you, but
Maisha, I thought would have adjusted well in that system, but no, just really hasn't. I mean, she's had good games and she's also had bad games. So, I mean, a lot of it. I'm also going to point to coaching. I'm a little confused on this coaching staff as a whole, but again, also too, like I keep saying it before and I keep saying it again, like Greg Bibb's fingerprints are still on this team, and we really won't really see like Kurt Miller's impact really done until like next year, if we're being honest. So,
yeah, that's fair. I just speaking on because I covered the game in Seattle. Their game it was Dallas and Seattle. Dallas just came out with more energy, and I feel like the second half is where like they were down by I think they were down by 2 points, 2 or 3 points, and you could just feel Dallas use that small of a deficit to shift the momentum into the second half, because it was a combination of Seattle not coming out with energy and Dallas taking advantage of that. But you know, it was a collective effort. Haley Jones, shout out to her. She's been playing great. She actually started today, which is cool to see. She started that game. She kind of set the tempo with her points, but also with her other stats like steals and I believe she said she had a block. She had a block and then a couple of assists, but she kind of set the tone. But it was just a collective effort throughout the rest of the game. Lee Uru had a couple of threes that were like, why isn't she doing this in Seattle? That's what I said to a bunch of the guys sitting next to me. I'm like, where was this in Seattle? But I'm glad that she's getting the opportunity. I want to see, like, this was a big win for Dallas. They had a big win against New York. They had a big win against Seattle. I want to see how that carries into the rest of the season, because they're 8-17. The 8th spot is 8-19. I'm sorry. The 8th spot is 8th spot is Washington at 12-13. It's not impossible. But if they can get there to the postseason,
why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
It's probably going to be false hope, but they have a lot of these wins where it makes a team as young as this feel good about where they're at. Now, if I'm putting all my chips on the table, are they going to make the playoffs? No, I'm putting them on no. But these types of wins against Seattle, now against New York, like, they make it, just the way that they win makes it pretty interesting. Like, makes the conversation pretty interesting.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at right now the standings. So 5 through 8. Really, let's see truthfully. I think the 5th, 6th. I think the 5 through 8 seeds. Someone's not making the playoffs. If you're pushing Dallas to make it, who is it? Because Vegas is 500. Washington is
I
is
mean,
the
it pains
AC.
me to say Washington because if you know, you know. Um, but I mean, if I'm doing the same thing with Golden State, if Kayla Thornton was healthy, I'd push out Washington. Indiana is interesting because Caitlin Clark's been out
Yes,
for a while. Indiana is very, very interesting.
because right now they're
Um,
sitting at 14-12.
yeah, they come to Seattle on Sunday. So they have Phoenix and
These
they
first
have
four
Dallas.
seeds, they're an easy lock. They're not. No one's moving. I mean, with New York right now, currently with their injuries, JJ's getting back into the lineup, and
Okay,
also too,
then I'd say five because Seattle's tied with Atlanta.
yeah. So, um, and then then Stewie's not there. Yeah, I think maybe Phoenix, Atlanta take that second and third spot. I think New York goes down fourth because this is
We'll
the injuries.
we'll get into this later, but if I'm gonna put all my chips on the table and say who's gonna challenge, who's got the best challenge or who's got the best chance to take that eighth spot, I'd either go Washington or LA.
I can see that
We'll go over that later, but
for sure.
they're playing. That's the next team I'm covering, so I plan to dig deep into that one.
Absolutely. Painfully, this next team lost to me. I think the spark plug, and that is Golden State. Kayla Thornton is out for the remaining part of the remaining of time of this year, as she suffered a leg injury, and made the All Star team, which I think rightfully she deserved. Um, I'm still I think Golden State will finish with 14, 15 wins. I said that earlier in the season in my prediction. Um, I think now without her there, because they're right now 11-13, and they've had a weird funk this month, especially since she got hurt. So um, I don't know. But prior to the first half of the season, um, I think they were to me a top 5 defense. I think they were limiting opponents to almost 78 points per game. I think Minnesota was right there behind them. Um, I mean, outside of that, I mean they did beat what was that when Killing came back against them, but pinned them a 19-point win. So, but outside of that, without Kayla, I'm actually curious to see how they'll look. But I mean, they still have Tiffany Hayes, who is proven to be a vet. Monique Billings, I think they'll be okay. But I still think, to me, I think they will finish. They'll miss the playoffs, but I think they'll finish with 15 wins.
And that's okay, right? They're an expansion team. They're still figuring things out. It's hard to say figuring things out, but that's just the reality of it. They're a new team in the league, and that's okay to not make the postseason and maybe finish under 500 in your first year of existing. Want to know how good this team is without Kayla Thornton? 1 game sample size, but they lost to the Connecticut Sun by 30.
Yes.
So that's how quote unquote good they are without Kayla Thornton. No, that all joking aside, this team's gonna be just fine. They've got a team full of veterans. But yeah, they're role players, but they've shown this season that they can step up and they can step up for each other. And Coach Nakase is definitely one of those coaches who is up for Coach of the Year just with the job that she's done. I want to talk because I covered their game in Seattle. It was probably the worst day of any person who covers any WNBA game. It was Kids Day, and for someone who lives 4 hours away on 2.5, 3 hours away, game starts at noon. I got there at 11 o'clock. I had to get up at like 6 a.m. It was a long day, screaming kids. But besides the point, Coach Nakase, she just has that presence when she answers your questions. And it reminds me of I don't know if I said it on this podcast or if I said it on this podcast or not, but it reminds me of Carol Lawson at Duke when she speaks, and she's one of those coaches, both her and Coach Nakase. She's one of those coaches where when she speaks, you listen, like whether it like I think I've said it on I've said it to a couple of players about Carol Lawson. Like when she spoke to me, I felt like I was one of her players. Like she she just has that presence. And Coach Nakase is the same way. I asked her about Chechi. This is where I need to get my pronunciations done before the game because I call her Cecilia, and I when she answered with Chechi, I'm like, oh no, and
she's who she played for the Lynx last season, correct? Yeah. Okay, I know you're talking
and
about.
they got her in the expansion draft. Yeah.
Draft, okay.
When Coach Kakase said Chechi, I'm like, oh no, and and so I felt so bad on the drive home. But
no, don't feel bad. I've done it myself too.
It's all good. I think that's actually the first time I've done that. But then I asked her about Caitlin Chen, and that was a really good answer as well. And I did a story on Caitlin as well. Yeah, that just Coach Nakase's presence. I walked away thinking, okay, now I know why Golden State is doing, like, now I know, now I see it, now I've been around it somewhat of why Golden State is exceeding the little expectations that they had.
I don't know if we talked about this, but I know it's kind of at this point because I know we're trying to catch up. But I know I didn't have an opportunity to really talk about this. But before she actually joined the Sparks, Julie Van Loo.
Yeah.
Most people know she played for the Mystics last year. The whole thing about her release at the time, this was prior to All-Star break. I thought that could have been handled better by management. To find out that you're cut from the team while still in the airplane waiting to land, and didn't have the respect to wait until at least you were at a hotel or something, or even if you got to the facility. Yeah, but unfortunately, that's one side of business I don't like. So, but that was I wanted to get it off my chest because I know I think his name is Nathan. I can't remember his last name, but he asked her that question, and the way she answered it was essentially kind of like, it's a PR answer. I'm gonna put it that way. So. What's your thoughts on Indy?
I mean, I see the. It's hard. Okay, it's hard to fully evaluate this team without Caitlin. But just the way she impacts. But I mean, they're really inconsistent, and some of that has to do with Caitlin and without Caitlin in the lineup, and I feel like I don't want to I don't think Caitlin was rushed too soon or whatever the narrative may be to her getting re-injured. But it's just injuries happen. Like it's a thing in sports, and I don't really take too much into like, oh, she hurt her groin, but she's jumping around on the bench. Like, okay, that's like she knows what she can and can't do. It's hard to really fully evaluate this team without Caitlin. So it's gonna be interesting. Like I said earlier, like if one of these teams is gonna bounce out, Indiana looks very very interesting. Um, so we'll see where they are at the end of the season. But yeah, I don't really have too much to say about Indiana except KK has Michaela Timpson. She has played phenomenally. Like, is there who? Okay, so we got Anissa Morrow. Is it
Sanaya.
Anissa Morrow? And no, yeah. In the front court, I'm thinking for first team all rookie because I think Michaela
Kiki.
Timpson should make it.
Kiki
Oh, Kiki. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're going to the Mystics. I'm sorry. Um, damn, Kiki's gonna get that spot. Michaela Timpson should really be considered because she's played phenomenal basketball this season. I think yeah, Anissa's probably gonna get that, but dang, because yeah, Michaela's been playing great this season. Um, but that's really all I've got to say about them. I am covering their game on Sunday. On Sunday the third.
Oh, they're playing Seattle. Okay.
Yeah. They play in Seattle. That's a nationally televised game. It's on the Big Boy Network. I believe it's on ABC actually.
Yes, that's correct.
So it's on the Big Boy Network. So hopefully I get a good seat for that game. But yeah, it's gonna be really sad if Caitlin can't play.
For sure.
So yeah, but we'll see. I'm excited.
Yeah. Couple things. I think a C+ is fair. I mean, they've had a lot to deal with, and yeah, Caitlin had the quad injury, the groin injury, in the span of the first half of the season. Again, and she didn't play the week of All-Star weekend, so she got hurt against Connecticut. The whole DeWanna Bonner situation. I my that came to fruition because literally my concern was, okay, you signed her, you have Sophie Cunningham. Somebody was going to lose touches on the ball. I don't think role was clearly defined. In my personal opinion, people could say people are entitled to their opinions. People who believe she quit, and players have a right to feel like this is not what I signed up for. So she was happy with her role, and unfortunately, she was waived. Ari McDonough, I think, was a great pickup for them, and has been playing, has been balling for them. Aaliyah Boston, who I think should be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. She has been the glue for that defense. And then Kelsey Mitchell. I cannot say enough about Kelsey Mitchell as to me as the leading scorer. She does a lot for them, and that's pretty much what I have on them. I still think they'll make the playoffs. My other question is I'm trying to understand what Steph White has done differently. Because the reason I say this is I think Stephanie White knows basketball. I think she's a good coach. But I'm gonna use Kurt Miller as an example. Kurt Miller got to the finals twice with less. Stephanie White practically had the same team in Connecticut, and in fairness, didn't have at one point they didn't have Brianna Jones. I get it, but she's had more and has not kept fine, and I just don't see it. So yeah. Yeah, that's my final take on them. But yeah, other than that, I think they'll be fine. I just think they'll. I mean, I got some flack. I said that Seattle will be better than Indy coming out to this at this beginning of the season. So and so far that's actually been proven right. But let's move on to Las Vegas. Um, you know, as much as I am a fan of Asia Wilson, um, this team has seen a lot. I think last year, and I think that for what happened last year from the offseason, the way I looked on the court until now, I think it's carried over. When I say that, I think I get it, but I think the crashing out, um, I can see why some of it's justified, but I think I don't want to say we're doing too much, but it's like this. All this is on management. It's like it's a lot to diagnose. It's a lot to break down. It's a lot to digest. Like for example, defensively, uh, defense to me, like Washington, defense is their bread and butter. I don't know how you go from being a top 5 defense last year to being one of the worst defenses. Okay, the 4th worst offensive rating going into All Star break. Um, Offensive ratings, and I get it. Becky's system is challenging. Many players have openly spoken about that. Um, I mean, the Melissa Smith trade. I mean, that was I get it. I mean, Melissa was a top three pick. Um, so I understand why they made the move for her. But like Dana Evans, I think is starting to find her footing. Jewel Lloyd, God, God bless her. I thought last night that was actually the first night game that I saw in a while where she looked like herself. I think she's better coming off the bench, in my personal opinion. And people can say what they want, we need to take back the nickname Gold Mamba and all this other stuff, all this other blah 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 blah. But I really, really think I think the being asked to carry the load in Seattle and whatever went down last year in the locker room, the Olympics, all that basketball. That it's mentally, emotionally, and physically wearing. And I know she didn't have the greatest performance the other night, where she couldn't buy a basket, but it's like I don't know. I feel like we're judging a little too hard, especially right now. Like we're acting like, to me, like the season still is not over. Like Vegas right now is the 7th seed. They're 500. I still think they'll make the playoffs. I'm not too worried about them. I just think that they've got to get back on being consistent. Like, and Asia said this in the article. I can't remember who wrote it last year, but when you come into training camp, everybody has to be bought into the vision. When I say that, you also have to understand, to ask a team to win 2 championships back to back, and then free agency, the whole thing about the Erica situation, like I don't know how the Aces would have been going into last year. But I think, in my opinion, like Aaliyah Nye, I think she's doing okay. I just think, again, like, just it just doesn't look all that well. Asia, I think, honestly, truthfully, has just been their bright spot. And she has to do more with less. And I think at one point, I'm not, if I'm still remember, at one point she was actually in all 5 major categories at one point prior to All-Star break. And it was 4 of the 5. And that was something to see. But I was like, wow. But other than that, like the 31-point loss, I don't know if that woke somebody up, and then beating Dallas. So I don't know, but I blame Brendon for this to an extent.
Uh, that's funny. The one thing I'll say about Jewel Lloyd, and then we can move on. Her not I mean, what I say at the in the off season, she's a volume scorer. Um, and some
But Brenden,
some day hold on. Some days she can score 30, and some days she won't score a bucket. And it's not like there weren't times last year where she didn't score a basket. It's just about what does the team around her do. I remember it was either 1 or 2 years ago. I just went on a like 20 minute or 10 to 15 minute rant on on the Storm losing a game because Jewel Lloyd scored 1 point. And I mean, she I think it was 2 years ago because she was yeah, I can't remember what year it was, but she lost the game, or they lost the game because yeah, I think it might have been against the Aces actually, not in the postseason, um, but she scored only 1 point, and it was a game that they should have won, and her production like didn't it absolutely didn't help, and it absolutely would have helped if she scored more. But I mean, it's not like we haven't seen this type of performance before from Jewel. It's just it's on a different team. Um, but I honestly I still wouldn't want to see this team in the postseason just because I feel like everything resets. You still gotta look at them as like the aces and Asia Wilson, and she turns it up a level, and especially like I know Chelsea Gray's not playing well right now, but she turns it up in postseason. Um, and you know Jackie Young and Asia Wilson. There's a reason why those two were the only All Stars from the team. Um, but yeah, if I'm a team like I think you said seventh, if I'm a 2 seed or a 3 seed, I wouldn't want to see the Aces.
okay, so how do you explain the 0 for 10 shooting against Minnesota?
Against Minnesota, Jewel Lloyd's a volume shooter. She's a volume scorer. I'm sorry, she's she's a volume scorer. Like she just missed all the shots she took. Like she's gonna have those games. It's not like she didn't have those games when she played in Seattle. Like she's gonna have those games.
Okay, so I have another question. So all of the commentary, because you covered her when she was in Seattle,
Right.
okay? What you're seeing right now on social media, is that justified criticism?
It's I'm not really sure just because her role is different in Vegas than it has been in Seattle. Um, so I'm not. I mean, and at this point they're starting to see that she's. I guess it's a hard question because or it's hard for me to answer this because her role is different. Um, she I don't think she ever came off the bench in Seattle. Um, so yeah, I don't know how to answer this question. I guess clearly, um, but I would just say like it happens. Like I said earlier, it happens. Um, will coming off the bench help? I mean, we've only had a 1 game sample size. So we'll see in the future if that sticks. But I mean, they're trying like Becky's trying different things, and that's all you can ask for right now.
I hear you. I do. I just think the way they've been built, and then um, I don't know. Like I think we're like some players are getting kind of. There's players I think are getting because of how everything has looked this year. I think that they're players. I'm not going to say which ones, or I'm not going to say names, but there are, I think, players who have been trying to find their role and understand their role. I think literally are just kind of at this point just at the mercy of some of fans. Like I just let's just move on to the Sparks. Yeah, let's move on. I'll give you the floor on Los Angeles. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Sparks look really interesting right now. They've really picked it up. They've won, I think, 5 in a row now. Last time I looked, which was like 10 minutes ago. But they've won 5 in a row. They're getting Cam back, according to can't remember the reporter's name who asked her, but she confirmed that she plans on playing tomorrow in Tuesday's game against the Aces. So it'll be interesting to see how she looks and what I think the same reporter asked. Sorry, I'm trying to get the name of the reporter, but he asked Cam, like, what do you think's gonna like pick up first, the offense or the defense? And she said the defense, which I thought was fitting. But I thought that since we were talking about her return is their defense is going to become almost instantly better because of her impact. So I'm curious to see how they ride this momentum into the last month and some change of the season, and that's actually one of the things that I wanted to ask Coach Lynn Roberts. John W. Davis, shout out to him. He interviewed Cam, I believe at Shoot Around today. Yeah, Shoot Around today. So shout out to John. But you know, LA looks really good right now. It may not be pretty, but I mean it's coming together. Kelsey Plum's been playing phenomenal. I'll tell you what, and I'm sorry I spent so much time on Cam and little on Kelsey. Azurá Stevens has played absolutely phenomenal this season, and I don't know if it's been stepping up with the loss without having Cam on the floor, or just what the new role with I say new role with new coaching and Kelsey Plum coming in. So that's what I mean by new role. I don't know if it's been the new role or what, but she's just stepped up her game big time. And that is so nice to see, especially because I've met Azurá at least one time. I messaged her a couple of times, but she's just so awesome. So I'm probably gonna be wanting to talk to her on Friday. That's the next game I'm covering. Hopefully I can do a feature on her. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, she's just played a phenomenal season, or she's had a phenomenal season. She's one of those all-star snubs that I think should have been an all-star. Definitely her and De'Erica Hamby, who's also played great. But I think Azurá deserves it a little bit more than De'Erica, just because of how well she's played this season. But she's definitely a reason why the Sparks aren't quote unquote worse. Like they wouldn't have gotten better if it weren't for Azurá Stevens. So I think if they continue riding this momentum and they hit and like Cam comes back to I'd say at least her freshman self of college, just because of like easing her way back into the rotation and finding her role, I think they could get that 8 seed. I mean, I think they could. I'm not looking at you and saying you're crazy. So
I'm not mad at that. I mean, the only thing I will add on, the biggest thing for me I'm looking for in the second half of the season is just consistency.
Right.
Because the first half, I think, was just a little underwhelming. Again, with all the injuries. Also, to Ray Burrell, she's also come back from her injury.
Yeah, shout out Ray Burrell. She's played great too.
Absolutely. Sarah Ashley Barker has actually adjusted, is doing actually well for them too. I definitely think Los Angeles got a good steal with her, but Azure most definitely, to me, I think outside of Kelsey has been their second best player.
And Julie Van Loo too. Yeah,
Yes.
Julie Van Loo came up too.
Yes.
It's the Sabrinas, man. Sarah Ashley Barker. It's the Sabrinas. If you know, you know.
Yep. Rikia Jackson had the game winner against the Liberty.
Oh yeah, that was sick.
That was, but no, I mean they're all playing well. It's just I wanted to see how they look in the second half in terms of consistency. But the Sparks,
who took that? Sorry, who took that picture of the Sparks celebrating with Natasha Cloud walking off? Because round of applause. It was a great shot. It was a great. I know it's cold, but it is a great shot.
Yeah,
I'm just applauding the shot skill.
Yep.
Nothing else.
We have
absolutely nothing else.
Oh my goodness. We have 5 teams, ladies and gentlemen, left to talk about. But before we get those last 5 teams, we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back at you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We got 5 more teams to talk about, and then we're going to get into our segment about the Portland Fire, and then we're going to finish off with the Minnesota Lynx. The Minnesota Lynx have the best record so far in the WNBA. It looks like they're going to finish with the best record, in my opinion. But I mean, I still think they're going to get back to the finals. I don't think they have enough, in my opinion. I don't. I thought the commit when they lost in the Commissioner's Cup, I thought that was telling. I mean, since then, I mean, I think they've been one of the most consistent teams. Fee is definitely the MVP conversation. I'm so far. I mean, I'm not going by rankings, but right off the top of my head, Alicia Gray, Fee, Asia. We're going to get to this next team. I think there's actually 2 players. I think, but one in particular definitely should be an MVP. In my personal opinion. But I mean, other than that, I don't see anything that concerns me. I think just come playoff time, do they have the arsenal? Because in the first half, I was the way they started, and I think the way they kind of finished that first half was interesting. But they should be okay.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say about Minnesota. Other than what you said, they're playing probably the best basketball they've played. Like it's going to be interesting how they respond to a loss, because they just suffered their sorry Faber fans, their first home loss. They lost to the Atlanta Dream at home. It was their recorded home loss of the season because the Commissioner's Cup does not count towards records. So it's going to be interesting to see how they respond against New York, which is, call it a coincidence or not, it's their first time playing since the finals, which is going to be interesting. Before we move on, last thing on LA. For the first time this season, prior to their game against the Vegas, clean bill of health. Everybody's healthy. So,
Thank you for that, sir.
Tomorrow. Yeah, of course.
Thank you for that. The Super Team 2.0. I don't know how many more pieces you need. I get it. I understand they have the injuries. I know JJ's been out, but they have Emma Meeseman now. If you guys don't remember Emma Meeseman was a former she was actually drafted by the Washington Mystics. Ironically, was with Taylor Hill, 2013. Emma was Finals MVP in 2019 when we won the championship, and then left us to go play for Chicago. They won a championship, and after that, she hasn't been the W for what, 2, maybe 3? Was it like 3 years almost? So for her to be back in the W with the reigning WNBA champions, you cannot tell me that's not a super team. I'm sorry. Again, on paper, we're not. This is a super team. Natasha Cloud, Jonquel Jones, Sabrina Ionescu, Stewie, Isabel Harrison. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's a super team to me.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to understand how many more pieces do you need? And I get it because of injuries. Biggest thing on New York is going to come down to. I mean, they start off 9-0. I think when JJ got hurt, that changed everything. JJ to me is their X factor on both sides of the ball.
Oh yeah,
it showed that when she was in Connecticut, in my opinion.
She showed that last year.
Yes, Leona Fibich wasn't there as well because she plays Euro basketball. So, like I think there's other things you had to take into consideration. And there's now Stewie's out, so I'm just curious to see how they will look. They did get Stephanie Talbert, which I don't really see what that does for them, honestly, other than just more size. Because there was especially, I can't remember who they lost to, not tonight, the other night, where they put her in the game, and that is. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we talked about Rakia's game winner.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was a crazy brain fart. But they had Stephanie in the game, and not Isabel. So I'm just curious to see how that will look. But yeah, other than that, I mean, just staying healthy and just getting consistent play. I mean, they got thrashed by Dallas tonight. And again, I know Liberty. I know there's some Liberty fans that are going to use the excuse, well, we don't have full bodies. Well, Vegas didn't have full bodies, and every team's going to go through this. So it should be next man up mentality. We shouldn't at this point be moving the goalpost, but it's neither here nor there. So I'll let you take the floor.
Well, a couple of things are going to happen. Number one, when New York wins the championship this year, they're gonna look back at all their injuries and be like, "Oh my gosh, we did it! We made it through all the injuries," and it's going to be the saddest thing ever because everybody else is just going to be like, "What are you doing? What are you talking about?" But okay, so I want to shout out really less. I don't have too much to say about the Liberty. Except Jackie Powell. Gosh, I can't remember who she's with. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
The next.
Yeah, the next. I'm sorry. Jackie Powell first reported that after the press conference today, or before the post game presser today, the team had about a 40-minute 40-minute quote unquote team meeting. So that's what happens when a super team loses two in a row. They have a team meeting. So it's gonna be interesting. I want to know. Obviously, I want to know what was said in the meeting, but or what was talked about. But yeah, I mean, it like I said with Minnesota, it's gonna be interesting how they respond, but also how they respond without Stewie for the
Wait a minute, you said 40 minutes?
40
Natasha
minutes
Cloud
after.
called that meeting.
Yeah, I wanna give a shout out to Natasha Cloud too, because Tosh.
Shout out to Natasha Cloud, love her.
Well, oh no, Natasha Cloud's great, and I interviewed her in Eugene when they had that game for Sabrina. That she's amazing, and she was very open when I interviewed her. But besides the point of what I wanted to shout her out for, she mentioned, I can't remember who asked the question, but Natasha Cloud mentioned that Emma Mieseman will join the team on August 1st because she's figuring out her visa and all that stuff that international
Stuff, all
players
that.
have
Yeah,
to
I forgot about that.
Figure it out. So she'll be joining the team by August, or on August 1st. She said. With the Emma Mieseman thing, last thing I'll say about the Liberty, Emma Mieseman thing, Stewie's hilarious because she was asked. I can't remember who asked this question. She was asked about Emma Mieseman because there were rumors about her joining the Liberty, and she says, "Can we talk about? Is it considered tampering if we talk about players who aren't don't have aren't employed, don't have a job?" So no, Stewie's hilarious. So I mean, I call it tampering, call it not tampering. I don't care. She's gonna be a big piece for this team when she joins the team. It's just gonna make them look scarier. So I'm ready to move on to the next team because I don't have too much to say about them.
For sure. Phoenix. Coach Nate Tibbetts should be in the conversation for Coach of the Year as well. As I said, as we talked about earlier with Coach Carl, they're doing all the right things. Alyssa Thomas definitely needs to be in the MVP conversation for sure this year. I feel like she's not getting the recognition that I think she deserves in terms of MVP conversation. I know this whole thing between Asia and Fee, particularly I think there's a lot of people, particularly social media, pushing for Fee. But for a player like Alyssa, who I think who picked up where she left off last year, leading the league in assists, I think having one of her best scoring seasons so far. And obviously, we all know she's one of the best perimeter defenders. To me, you're doing, I wouldn't say more with less, but with Satu's, deal with some injuries. Ka wasn't there for a minute. The rookies, doing more with less. I feel like, and also too getting DeWanna Bonner to join you in the desert. So I mean, if this team stays healthy, this is a team I believe that will go to the WNBA finals.
Ooh.
Guaranteed.
There's always that caveat of if they stay healthy, but I don't see how they. I mean, I don't see how that's not a bad take. That's for sure not a bad take. Mm-hmm. But Phoenix has definitely been. I mean, since we talked in the offseason, they've definitely been the most impressive team this season, and I don't think it's particularly close.
Yep.
I'd say Atlanta is up there, but again, Phoenix is just on another level. I mean, there are some games. Okay, Alyssa Thomas has played great, but there have just been some games like couple of games ago, Sammy Whitcomb almost had 40.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about. The other guy freed something about DoorDash or something like that.
Yeah. So the WNBA is doing a thing this season where if a player scores 40, everyone gets 50% off DoorDash. They just said that at the beginning of the season, so nobody remembers that. Um, shout out to Tyler DeLuca for retweeting that, so I can
Yes,
see that.
absolutely. Shout out to Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler's the best. But yeah, Sammy Whitcomb will score 40. Or will almost score 40. DeWanna Bonner will step up now. Satu Sably, like they have players that'll step up if, let's say, Alyssa Thomas isn't having a good game. They have the depth. Like you see the vision and you see it very 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 clearly. At the beginning of the season, you just saw a bunch of players on a list on a piece of paper and just you didn't see the vision. You didn't see how it was all going to fit. Well, now you see the fit, and when it works, it's like they're one of the best teams in the league.
That's
But
true.
I think we were just so focused on like, oh, it doesn't look good, so it's not gonna, or it doesn't look, um, you couldn't see the vision, so it's automatically not gonna work. Can't speak for everyone, but I mean that's just how I felt. I think that's a little of how you felt when we first talked about them in the off season. But I mean, credit to Coach Tibbetts. He's uh, done a phenomenal job coaching this team. And they look like a real like I talked about the Aces being a team I don't want to play in the playoffs. I definitely do not want to face Phoenix Mercury in the first round and the second round. Yeah, I don't want to face them.
For sure, for sure. Oh, and I did want to also let this fun fact. I had this on my notes. If Alyssa Thomas, okay, continues at the rate that she's been playing, okay, she's going to join the following: the great Oscar Robertson, Magic Johnson, LeBron James,
I did see
the
that stat.
Joker, as the only NBA or WNBA players to average at least 15, 8, and 9 on 50% shooting for a season. To be on in the conversation with those greats, yeah, MVP, in my opinion. Um, all right, Seattle's all yours, buddy. Go get them.
Yeah, Seattle. It's it's weird because you put them at a B plus. I would put them in the B plus B range. If you're talking to me, right after Dallas, I'd put them at B. But I wrote an article about what they're doing right now, and I mean there's some good and some bad about this team. One glaring good thing is the play of their three All Stars, Neko Gumake, Skylar Diggins, and Gabby Williams. I do want to touch on NECA and Skylar specifically because they found the fountain of youth. They're playing phenomenally, phenomenally well. Skylar Diggins just had her first career triple double in the WNBA, not counting the All Star game. Um, so props to her, but Gabby Williams, she's played well on both ends of the floor, and I mean she leads the league in steals. She's averaging a career high in points. So I you look at Seattle before the season, and there's a Jewel Lloyd sized hole in terms of scoring um, that needs to be filled, right? And these three players, specifically Gabby and Skylar, are filling this hole. And why I mentioned Skylar is because she's averaging. She last year she focused more on the passing, and you know, as a point guard, you gotta move the ball. Your assists are going to be probably among the best on the team. But she's actually leading the team in points per game with as of the time of my article, which was the 26th, so 2 days ago. She's averaging 17.7 points, 5 point assists, and 1 steal. NECA is second in scoring with 17 points. So that Skylar and NECA are stepping up. And it's not just them stepping up to it's not just them stepping up to help this team succeed. It's players like Erica Wheeler, who's had a phenomenal bounce back season like from the year that she had last year with Indiana. She's come in and she's gone from her story is actually really phenomenal. She's gone from a training camp contract to averaging 11 points a game, and she's in the starting five, and it's a permanent thing. Like she's all as assuming she's healthy, she's going to start the rest of the season. So, and she's averaging 11 points, 3.3 rebounds, 1.2 steals a game. So she's played great, and I'll get to the downsides in a second, but as a team, this team looks almost exactly like how I thought they would be on defense. I said at the beginning of the season that they would be the best defense in the league. I still stand 10 toes down on that. And as of the posting of my article, they are third in defensive efficiency, behind Minnesota and New York, who made the finals and are looking like the two teams that could very well make the finals again. So Seattle's right behind them, and their Achilles heel, and this is where I'm going to get into the improvements that they need to make. Their biggest Achilles heel is their rebounding, and I've seen that since day one. Noelle Quinn's talked about rebounding, and I've asked her a couple of times about rebounding. They rank, as of the time of my article, they rank 12th in rebounding, and the only team they're above is Connecticut. And Nate and I just verbally basically dog walked Connecticut for how bad they are. So their rebounding is something that they need to improve on, and I tied it in. If you read this article, and I'm sure Nate will post it into the description, I tied rebounding in with their defensive rating, because they're playing good defense. They're just not fully getting stops, and getting a stop is that the other team not making a basket and getting the rebound. They're allowing offensive rebounds. They're not getting full defensive stops, which is affecting their rating. So I tied those two things together. Individually, the play of Ezzie Maglagor has been disappointing, just because she's an all-star if she's an all-star player. She's just not performing well. 8.3 points, 6.4 rebounds, leads the team. She's still getting two blocks a game, which that's Ezzie, whether she's playing bad or not. She's gonna get 2 or close to 2 blocks a game. So that's just how it's gonna go with Ezzie. If she steps it up on the offensive end, she could be a real big X factor coming to the or as they head into the postseason. As a team, we've said this a couple of times, or about a couple of teams, but the biggest thing for Seattle is inconsistency, and I think for them it's big time, because they'll go on a 3 or 4 game winning streak, and it's the same thing as last season. when they go on a 3 or 4 game winning streak, I said it last year, they look like a team that can win the championship. And same thing this year too. But this year they're more connected, and I can see that. You can see that when the when the bench celebrated Skylar Diggins' a triple double. They looked really connected, and they were super happy for her. So when they win and when they do it decisively, they look like a really good team. They've beaten Minnesota. They've beaten New York. Both or they've beaten Phoenix. Both New York and Phoenix twice. And we just raved about how good a teams they are. But on the other end, they'll win 2 or 3 games in a row, and then you feel really good about them. And then on the other end, they'll lose to a team like Connecticut or Washington, who they've lost to twice now, or Dallas. So it's the consistency that we need to improve on. There's one last thing that I wanted to say about Seattle. My full story is on the website. I'm sure Nate'll post it, but if you wanted to get the full view of what I think about them, Dominique Malunga, she has, to the dismay of some Storm fans, or most Storm fans, I'd say, is I mean, like I said at the beginning of the season, Coach Quinn and how she treats rookies, she's not gonna let her into the fire right away. She's gonna ease her in. And some days she doesn't play. Some days she doesn't play just based on the matchup. I think Golden State was a big one. Golden State was the other team I forgot to mention that we lost to. I remember we lost by 30 to them, but she didn't play against Golden State, but she was a big X factor in one of the wins against New York. So, and I just saw a stat while we were recording. She's played 18 minutes over the last 3 games, 18 minutes per game, and she's averaged about 11 points. So she's adjusting to the play, to the pace of the game, to everything. She's adjusting very nicely, and her scoring's been needed, obviously, in some of these games that we've gotten, or some of these games that we won. And she's, as I said, she's coming along very nicely. Her and Ezzy, I think, are the biggest X factors for this team. And I apologize. This will actually be the last thing that I say about the Storm. But like I said about Dom, like I said about Erica Wheeler, they're all willing to step up for each other, and that shows a connected group. Erica Wheeler I remember at the beginning of the season, had a couple of big buckets in a win. I believe it was against Minnesota. Dom had her fourth quarter. She didn't play a single minute until the fourth quarter against New York, and she was one of the biggest X factors of the game. Coach raved about her prior to the game against Connecticut, pregame, as one of the best performers in a loss to Washington. So these players are all wanting to step up for each other, and I think that's big for being a connected group, and I think that's going to serve very, very well in the postseason. So they're ranked 5th right now. They're tied for 4th. So I said it last year, if they can get home court advantage, that's huge. That's huge for Seattle. So we'll see how they fare, but my expectation for them is to get home court advantage.
And that's why I gave him the floor. So I ain't got nothing else to add on that one. So the next team is the Washington Mystics. But before I do that, Brenden, I'm sorry to remove you from the floor personally for this one. Okay, so the Washington Mystics. Where do I begin? Sydney Johnson is another one that needs to be in the conversation for Coach of the Year. He should have some votes. From where I led, there was a lot of individuals who were very scratching their head on Well, I don't know why they hired him over this person or that person. Sydney has the girls bought in. Okay, that's number one. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This team is going to have growing pains. I thought they played decently against the Sparks. They responded really well against Seattle before they lost the other night. Unfortunately, their response in terms of, okay, I know how to respond in losses. That's part of the growth. To beat a team like Seattle at home and then lose to Phoenix, that's what they lost to. There's still things you should be proud of with this team. Sonia Citron, Kiki Iriafen should be in the Rookie of the Year conversation. I definitely think they'll be on the all-first rookie team. They lost to the Sparks. It was a good game. Washington had them right there. That was a Tuesday game. That one stung a little bit, but I think they're doing just fine. If I had to pick a team MVP, it'd be Brittany Sykes or Shakira Austin, and especially I think Kira, to me, who I think is playing extremely well. Both of them. There was a point where Slim wasn't there because of injuries. Aaliyah Edwards was starting to find her footing, and then she's now out again, actually with the right wrist injury. And God bless her, just the injuries with her. Again, that's what I'm trying to understand. Like this trading thing makes no. We're trading her, and I saw an article where we're getting a 2026 first round pick and a 27 second round pick and a player for Aaliyah Edwards. I'm not saying that's not a bad trade, but I'm not doing that in the midst of an expansion year. I think that's one of the biggest no-nos. You never make moves like that in the midst of an expansion year. But I say all that to say I still pick the Washington Mystics to make the playoffs. A lot of people didn't even really have this team making the playoffs. So I think if the way that they keep playing, if they figure out just how to down the stretch maintain the consistency, staying healthy, the guard play I think is key. I think we have the August 7th trade deadline. I think if they can get something there, I think they'll be okay. If not, I think they'll be okay with what they have. But if they don't make the playoffs, I think this season, for most people, I think was not a failure, especially in the midst of a rebuild, front office, from front office to coaching staff. I think to the way they finished in the first half, won 9 of their 6 of the 9 games, and then beating Vegas, Minnesota, and then Seattle. Can't take that away from them. Brittany Sykes definitely deserved to go be an all-star. Kiki, most definitely. Sonia, big ups to her participating in the skills challenge, and big ups to Sabrina as well for giving a portion of her salary to Sonia as well in that. So I'm really proud of these girls. Everyone's doing all the little things. So again, if I had to pick, this is my sleeper to make the playoffs. And we're going to move on to the Portland Fire. I'm going to bring Brenden back on. Brenden, I know you're in Portland, so I know you wanted to talk about Portland as they're coming into the W next season.
Yeah, so awesome thing to see Portland coming into the W next season. It's gonna be very, very cool. I'm really excited. World Exposure Report officially has their page up and running to cover the Portland Fire. So there's a couple of I already have a couple of articles out, including the initial announcement, the morning of the name reveal. So if you want to check that out, go ahead and check on the website. But yeah, I got in touch with their media team, and I'm going to be covering mostly covering the Portland Fire next year, just because it's 30 minutes away from me, and as I've said about Seattle, it's like 2 or 3 hours away from me, so it's really no brainer. But I know it's early. The team obviously doesn't have a coach or GM, basically any management, but looking at the potential expansion players, I've had a couple of conversations like, oh, maybe, or this player looks good. Like there's a player on Dallas I really like. I'm not gonna say who it is. There's a player on Dallas I really like. Not gonna lie, for Mariah Jefferson, I really liked as a player for Portland in the expansion draft. But there are players on certain teams where I'm looking at, and it's kind of copying the philosophy of Golden State and what they did, and replicating it for Portland. I think if you're a Portland Fire fan, or if you're a new Portland Fire fan, I think you should look at what Golden State is doing in terms of picking the role players and turning them into stars, or turning them into a team that can compete for the future, and then developing off of that, right? So, obviously none of this is going to matter until the owners and the president, Claire Smith, I believe is her last name. She worked for 40 years at Nike before, as she says, the worst retirement ever, or the shortest retirement ever. Nothing's going to happen without a GM, and I believe they said at the end of the month, which it's getting there, so it should happen shortly, that they have an announcement for their new GM. But that, and then I think the new head coach is going to be very interesting. Their new head coach is what I've dug into like deeply, and I have a couple of names out there for both Portland and Toronto. I've dug a little bit into it. So Toronto's page is up as well. So if you want to check that out, that'd be awesome. But I'm super excited to be going to Portland Fire games and covering them, and everybody I've talked to is super excited. I've been telling some of my buddies over here, like, we gotta go to Portland Fire games. My mom's a season ticket holder. Technically I am, but I'm gonna give those away since I'm gonna be covering the team. But I'm super excited. Portland's back in the W. I'm actually working on a story on how current and former WNBA players that are like local or from the Pacific Northwest or played for the Portland Fire, like how they feel about this return to the league, and I'm excited to get that piece out. That's probably going to come August 6th or 7th is where I'm aiming at, so I'll release that on the website as well. But overall, I'm excited to be covering them next year. I do want to give a shout out. This is a huge shout out. Shout out to Megan Hall, who Nate has had on the pod. I would not have gotten into contact with the media team in Portland, which is something I was really, really, really wanting to do. I would not have gotten into contact with them if it wasn't for Megan Hall. She sent me, not only for them, but for everybody in the league, and all the people to contact from media for everybody in the league. And I'm just so appreciative of Megan and how she's helped me grow as like my network, but also like grow as a writer. She's helped me a lot. She's still helping me to this day. So I'm just really appreciative for Megan and all she's done. So she's a really big reason why I'm able to cover Portland for sure. So I'm excited, and this is one of the new logos, by the way.
I like it.
Yeah.
Also, too, I just want to add before we move on to one final thought, because we are running up close to time here. I'm really appreciative of what the W is doing in terms of, I think, going back to where some of these teams were.
Yeah.
If for those who didn't remember, there was a WNBA team in Portland for 3 years.
They're the first team. They're the first expansion. Sorry to interrupt, but they're the first expansion team. I actually want to talk about one of their players. I'm not going to say who, but she's on a coaching staff. I want to talk to one of their former players about this, because they're the first expansion team to not only keep their name but keep their history. It's short, but it's history. And these players, like the launch event that they had, it was very fun. It was very hot. Gosh, have like almost 10 at that, have like almost 1,000 people all gathered in one area in like 90-degree weather. It was very hot. Besides the point, they had a bunch of current and former Portland Fire players at this event, and they basically, when they were talking to everybody, they had them say their name and just gave them their flowers for starting this. And yeah, it was a 3-year history, but it was history, and it's something that they get to keep. So I'm excited to hopefully talk to the former player that I want to talk to, because I'm going to be asking them about them or about that.
For sure. I kind of lost my train of thought. I was going to say. Okay. In terms of where you're going, so again, Cleveland, Detroit, people to forget, before they were Connecticut, they were the Orlando Miracle. So I'm really, really appreciative that we're going back to our roots in terms of knowing the history and X, Y, and Z. Because again, the WNBA is still in its infancy, still a young league, and I'm very appreciative to see we're bringing some of these teams back. There's gonna be a team in Philly. My only concern is, I think, in terms of expansion, that we're going a little too fast. I still think there's some stuff that we need to take care of in terms of CBA, other things like that, which we'll get into a whole other day. But other than that, I'm excited for it. So, yeah. Let's go to one final thought, ladies and gentlemen.
Thoughts are running through my mind, so I took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
Okay, one final thought.
I don't have one, so I'm going to let you take the floor.
It's been an interesting month since I last been on here, social media. We've had some couple people, actors. Malcolm Jamal Warner, he passed away. If you don't know him, he's on the Cosby Show. He played Theo. I want to say my thoughts and prayers to his family. Ryan Sandberg, who was former second base for the Chicago Cubs, passed away earlier today. So I just want to send my thoughts and prayers to those families. Just great men, especially Ryan, what he did for the game of baseball in terms of his position. Malcolm, in terms of, I think, one of the best actors that I've seen growing up as a kid. I'm really appreciative of him. That's one. That's my first one. My second one, I know this is old, but I wouldn't be the first to admit, because again, we haven't been on here since we talked about it. But Robert Griffin III, please do me a favor and just shut up. That's the best way I can put it. Because there's no way that girl's people's, and I've spoken to her mom through messages on social media. Very nice woman. There's no way for that woman, for people's talk to you. And secondly, as much as I respect Shaquille O'Neal, it's the same Shaq that was on her podcast talking about seeing her little short shorts and stuff like that. Can't be a protective uncle and then you doing X, Y, Z. I'm sorry. But I say that to say this. ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm all for those coming into a space and X, Y, and wanting to learn and all those different things. I had Shay from the committee, had Lo from the committee. I've had multiple journalists from here that even Brenden and myself we've interviewed. But it's how you come in the space, and I think with the intent to say things to get clicks and views, and don't understand that has consequences and that looks bad on you. You're only hurting yourself. And I'm going to mention this again because there's two former football players that are doing the same thing. I know it's again like somebody who's never watched or covered the game. He knew what he was doing. And I think again, there's certain things we really truly have to stop giving attention to, and respectfully, he's one of them. So that's my one final thought. Well, other than that, to say the second half of the WNBA season is off to an interesting start. Biggest thing for me is I just want all the ladies to stay healthy as we get into the final stretch, because that's pretty much everything at this point. Waiting for Caitlin to come back. Because she was out, she's been out for a hot second. Since the last from the 22nd. She should be back, I think, next month. Cam's coming back. Cam Brink. Ryan Howard is coming back off her injury. Trying to think. Marina should be coming back off her injury. Just key pieces. I'm sorry?
Stewie's out.
Stewie, thank you. JJ just came off her injury. So it's just, the biggest thing also too is it's a lot of basketball, and I hate it. And I'm hoping that this is something that's also being talked about in those negotiations. One other thing. I know I'm going on the tangent and then I'm done. The officiating has been trash. Okay. I'm sorry. You have bad officiating, just teaching bad officiating. I just have a simple question. Okay. Angel Reese and Diamond Miller got a double tech the other night. But in the same breath, okay, and I understand each officiating crew is different. Okay, I'm aware of that. Brenden can attest to this, especially with college basketball. In the same breath, okay, Rakia Jackson and Bria Hartley. I mean, Rakia Jackson is trash talk and no tech was given. And literally Angel and Diamond Miller were given injuries, and Diamond Miller were given a tech for what? Some of the missed calls. Like I don't know. Something has to change. So, but yeah, Brenden, do you have anything you want to add on that?
No, I'm good.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude this episode of Big Name Sports Talk Podcast. We're back. The goal, hopefully next week, we should be back with you again. Check in. We're now week 9, week 10 of the season. My gosh, does not feel like that. But also to check out Team EMS Media. Got a couple articles regarding the Baltimore Ravens. I should have those out before August 1st. I'm looking at the deadline for that. Because I have an announcement once the WNBA season is official, complete. I have an announcement I'm going to make. I think it's going to take where I see myself in this whole realm going forward. I have an announcement that I want to make, a serious announcement. But I'm going to save that for a later date. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content. Be tuned in for future episodes of the podcast, and we'll talk soon. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen. Peace. Stay up.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you.